Proud members of the Podbelly Network.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, come on, you know I don't watch that shit.
Why not? Too scared?
No, it's just what's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
Hello! And welcome to episode 65.
Five?
I don't know.
I think it's 60.
You didn't even say a number, so what do you think it is?
I think it's 63.
Three.
I think it's 63. Yeah.
This is Kim and Kat Stay Alive.
Maybe.
We're a horror movie comedy podcast.
And we're going to tell you the entirety of a horror movie, play by play, step by step, plot point by plot point. And then I'm going to ask Kim at different points what she would do to stay alive.
And I'm going to die.
Yep.
No,
Please don't.
Kidding.
Please don't. Actually,
I'm a final girl, bitch.
Yeah. Though Kim does feel a bit like she's currently dying right now.
Currently dying. I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if I'm low energy. It's annoying because I was under the weather and then I got over the weather and now I'm back under again. And I'm fucking annoyed now. Now I'm just angry at the weather.
So I'm going to do my best every so often to just sort of startle Kim and just, get her to wakey. She currently has a bottle of water, a shot of water because she didn't want to do a shot of whiskey because she almost died.
I can't do it.
On Happy Birthday to Me. Kombucha, a venti cold brew, and then a mystery thermos and tea that I made her. What is in the green mystery thermos?
There's also tea in there. I came with tea, but then you offered me tea with honey, and I was like, that sounds delicious. So I have 2 teas.
There you go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beverages today, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, it's a situation. I gotta hydrate today.
I agree. Well, let's do our shot.
Cheers.
Vagina holes out.
Tits up. Oh.
Well, now my couch will smell like whiskey. Cool.
Katrin just spilled whiskey on her couch.
Cool. I'll just wipe this here.
How are you? What's up?
I'm good. I have been really excited about TV recently. Also, do you remember the Swing Low movie that we talked about that we saw Horrible Imaginings?
Yes, I do.
I think I realized why I recognize that main girl. Because remember, I was like, I know I recognize her from somewhere. I looked at her IMDb. Nothing was ringing a bell. I think she's in the new Nosferatu show.
Oh.
Which I watched 1 episode of. And that would probably be why I recognized her, but didn't place it because I only watched 1 episode.
Why didn't anyone recommend that to me? I was like, what can I binge right now? I'm sick. And people sent recommendations, but that wasn't on the list. And now I need to add that to my list.
Because you can't binge it. That's why
it only released 1 by 1.
Yeah, it's only 1 by 1. Which also is what the Great British Baking Show is doing right now on Netflix. And I'm like, what the fuck, motherfuckers? Like, I can't binge the collection 7 of the Great British Baking Show. Rude. But
I did watch Marianne.
I've started Marianne. Are you finished it?
Finished.
You finished.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric and I are on the fence about it.
Yeah.
So don't give me any spoilers, but I'm just going to talk tonally to you.
Right.
I got used to the dubbing.
Well, I was going to suggest to undub
and just do subtitles.
I think that makes it play better. You just it's in the subtitle options.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just have it play French.
Okay, and then just
it's French.
read it. Okay.
And then just read it, which I did not do. I dubbed it because I was watching it when I was sick, and I tried to do it, but it was like my brain was mush, and I was like, I can't. But I think that helps.
Okay. Yeah.
Tonally, because like it's not being said in a weird way. Then,
yeah. Yeah. It sounds like
getting
ADR.
Their actual voice.
Right.
And meaning,
Intonation.
and then watching, the words.
Well, so that, okay, I'm going to try doing that. That I got used to though. However, tonally, there were some moments where I was like, why are we doing like a slapsticky kind of thing with like slapstick rom-com music over top of it? Like where she's breaking into a house and she's like climbing over a fence. The music was literally like rom-com Cameron Diaz breaking into her date's house to get her bra back. Like, it was not
it's supposed to be funny there, but
I'm not. But the tone didn't work for me. So there were just a couple things that it was just French. So there were just a couple things like that kind of took me out of it. I think
there were some things that took me out of it. There were some times where I was like a little bored, but like I think there were things I was actually mad at.
We'll have to talk more when I finished it.
Yeah, and then I would say it's worth watching till the end, though.
Okay, great. That lady is scurry. She's
right?
real scary.
Yeah, her face is scary.
And there's like nothing, it's just her face.
It's like a close-up creep face.
Yeah, and I actually had a conversation with Eric where I was like, how would I feel about that if like I was cast to be terrifying and they were like, nope, you're good. Just go in there with your own face and you'll terrify everyone.
I think you'd take that face all the way to the bank,
Oh,
baby.
100%. Yeah. And then I started to ask Eric, I was like, is my face scary? He was like, no. And I was like, no, like, would you hire me to make scary faces? Can I make scary faces? And then I spent 20 minutes trying to scare Eric with my face. And then I'm also so excited about Prodigal Son. I can't even contain myself.
Did you watch the first episode?
Not
I watched
yet.
it.
I it's not really Eric's thing. So like I've been trying to find a time to watch it like without
I watched
him.
it kind of while I was doing other stuff, and now I have some questions, but
is Michael just...
Of course. He's amazing.
I just love him. I'm manifesting that I'm going to be on that show.
Do it.
And I'm going to have scenes with Michael Sheen.
Making out.
For sure. Yeah. I love him. So, like, I don't even want to make out with him. I just want to like do a scene with him.
Yeah. No, I know.
And like absorb
just
his
be
energy.
in his energy.
I can't believe, I just love him so much. So everyone, I'm going to be on Prodigal Son. I'll let you know when. And if you have any connections to help me make that happen,
we're available.
Yep. Soups avails.
I went on a date.
I can't wait to hear.
I went on a date, you guys.
I love it.
I'm back, baby. I'm out there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've been Facebook date?
What? I know. So I took some time.
Mm-hmm.
Took some time for myself. Did a little healing. Really did.
And let me say, you fucking healed like a boss bitch.
I did, and I'm actually a little proud of myself because I actually, took some. I just do a lot of personal development stuff, so I like took some stock of things, and I took ownership for things that I do in relationships too. You know what I mean? Like it's not just always other people, and so kind of dug into those things a little bit. And then one of my friends from Bali was doing like this 30-day mindset thing.
Oh yeah.
Group basically. And I was like, fuck, I'll do it. It's like 30-day mindset magic or something.
Okay, yeah.
So you basically just like pick a topic that you're going to work on for 30 days and then you write a mantra for it and then like write 10 good things each day.
I love it.
And it's fucking amazing. But I was like, I'm just going to focus on me, like, and getting back to like my good fucking like high vibe, amazing self again. And it's like fucking worked.
I love it.
Like I was like, I like took time to heal. And now I'm like, cause that's what I wanted. Like I was like, I remember feeling really good before and I want to get back to that. So I was like, I feel good and even better because I like worked through some shit and grew and learned and very grateful. And so I wasn't like, I want to like date again. Like, let me like turn on some apps. I was just kind of like, my friend mentioned the Facebook one and I got like an invite. Like, I guess Facebook knows me.
They were like, do you want an invite? Are you
I don't know.
to
like,
date?
I was like, are other people not getting these invites? What's up? So Facebook is a dating app, you guys.
Facebook is like, do you want to see more cats? And I'm like, accept.
Yes. I love this cat dating app. So I wanted to like just look at it, and I actually turned it on one day and then turned it off again. It's like literally just in your app. You just like switch it on and then no one knows about it. And then I was like, and then I turned it back on again. Like I was like, I just like to see like who's out there, what's on. So it was like very cash. Like I was just like feeling good. What's up?
I mean, and legitimately it's fun. Like I know I like playing on your dating apps when you're doing them.
It's much more fun for you though. I'm sorry.
How did you spill that?
Sorry.
How though? It's okay. We have whiskey over here, coffee over there. It's great. It's totally fine. My couch is Eric's going to be like, why does our couch smell like an Irish coffee? And be like, well,
yum. I do love an Irish coffee.
Right? So, pin in what you're saying.
Yes.
Side note, because this is actually something I wanted to remind you of. Since Eric and I are officially here for Christmas, you are going to be here to decorate the tree, watch Sound of Music, and Eric is going to make Irish coffees.
Okay.
Real Irish coffees.
I'm in. I love Irish
But
coffees.
you don't get to decorate the tree. You have to just sit there and
That's
watch
great.
it.
I don't really want to.
Great. Cool. I'm just letting you know that that's happening.
Like, I would prefer to sit and
just
drink
watch.
Irish coffee while you do shit.
Great. Perfect.
To
just
be
letting
honest.
you know that that's what's
I
happening.
mean, I do like decorating my own house, but like I have no desire to decorate your house.
Well, you won't be allowed.
Good. Great. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. And if you talk, Eric and I can talk all we want. You cannot.
Great. I look forward to this time in my life. I'll document it all.
Okay.
Oh my
God,
guys,
yeah.
follow along on this Instagram.
Yeah. Of Kim sitting silently, handcuffed to my couch, watching Sound of Music, drinking Irish coffee.
As long as I got Irish coffee,
Yeah,
I'll be good,
you're
girl.
good. I'm sorry to interrupt.
The
Okay.
hills are alive, baby.
You haven't earned that. You don't get to say that.
So mad at
You
me.
don't get to say that. Okay, so what were you saying?
my
Sorry.
gosh.
Facebook
It's
dating.
not that I recommend the Facebook app
Sure.
by any means.
Right.
It's mostly creepers.
But you stumbled upon someone that you liked.
Yeah,
Which is great.
and most people don't have anything written in their profile. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very much just like, here's a picture. Sometimes it's just like, not even of your face. So
It sounds like that Wingman app that I tried to do, where I was like
except
so
that
excited
had like
about it.
no people on it. This
Yeah.
has all the people because it's Facebook, and then so it's just, but it's like,
But it's
all people. It's, like,
yeah,
creepy.
that's not great.
So yeah, but randomly stumbled upon this one guy, and he's pretty cool.
That's great.
Had a great date. We already have a second date set.
Awesome. Now, does he know that you have a podcast and that you journal your dating?
Yeah. I told him, and I was like, he's like, what? Don't talk about me. And I was like, I won't say your name.
Yeah.
And I was like, we'll have to come up with a nickname for you.
This really, truly reminds me, like, the journaling of your dating history really reminds me of when I first started dating Eric and you were dating a guy at the time and we were making 3 Extremes.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Which was a web series we were in that was documenting Kim and Sophia and my life, like, when we first got here. And it's just us being like
drinking,
debaucherous,
fucking
slutty boss bitches. Like it,
Yes.
and it's really funny, but
Very
like
funny.
I remember having the conversation with Eric. We were brand new to dating. And I was just like, basically the gist was, I didn't come out of a box when we started dating. I fucked a lot of people, and this is funny, and this is what the series is about, and it's based in truth. And
Yeah.
I was so nervous about it. I like remember where we were on a walk, and I remember where we were walking. And I remember he just goes, "What's the problem?" And I was like,
That's good.
"Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love it." He was like, he goes, "Frankly, I'd be pretty creeped out if you hadn't fucked anybody."
That's true.
And I was like, "Oh, cool." But it reminds me of that, where it's like,
right.
I had an entire fucking life before you came along, bro.
Yes, but it is weird that you can hear the detailed aspects of it.
Yeah. But that's why I think it's good to bring it up on a first date, because like if they're creeped out by it, you can be like, "Oh, okay, then
Totally, not
now
my
I
person."
know.
Yeah.
Not my person."
But I'm going to keep dating, not getting too attached.
Love it. Love it.
Soup's great, like him a lot, but we're just getting to know each other. Just going to get to know people.
Love it.
Get to know people. And one of them will be my person, and I'm very excited.
I also had to have a talk with myself about,
Okay. What'd you say to yourself?
well, I get very excited when Kim has a good date as if it is my own date. But then I also get my lion comes out, and I was so burned by your previous breakup that I had this whole thing with myself where I was like, well, I'm not giving my approval that quickly. Like I had a whole thing.
You did approve quickly. That was one of your fastest approvals.
I did, because I did. And
Right.
so I learned a lesson. I got burned.
Great.
And
We
so
all learned something.
I did.
We're
So I was like,
growing, we're learning.
if I meet this guy, I literally had to talk to myself. I was like, if I meet this guy, I will not give my approval. However, you can't be a cunt, Ketrin. Like you
No,
have to
you
be.
can't be a cunt.
You have to be like, there's like a gray area and you need to find it.
He would honestly be hard to be a cunt to. That's one of the things I really, he's like such a positive, bright light. Like he's like a really good energy. And we like had fun and like had the best time. Like it was really fun, but also talked about like real shit too, which is really good. And it's just been really easy, which is
but, like,
super awesome.
I don't want to get sucked in. I don't want to give my approval too quickly.
Okay.
You know, like
this was also his first online date he's ever been on.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow. Was he just born?
No.
Oh, he's not
He's
a baby?
older than me.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. By like 6 months or something, but yeah.
This is I'm so excited. He has my approval. No, never mind. I forgot. No.
And for our second date, I had tickets to a horror thing, so he's going to come to that.
That's exciting. What horror?
I can't tell you because I'm going to do it for the podcast.
Okay. I guess I'm not invited.
You're not invited. It's to watch a horror movie, but it will be an interview with the director or a Q&A with the director too. But I'm doing it for the podcast, so you can't come.
Wow. Okay. I see. You know what? I'm just going to dive into this movie.
Great. I'm excited.
Okay. You know what? Now that we've talked for 15 minutes. No, that's fine. You can go on dates with other people. It's fine. I'm not upset.
That's the point of the podcast, Ketrin. For me to go on dates. That's how it all started. You watch.
I know.
Ketrin, I've watched horror movies by myself for a fucking year, goddammit. Let me have one.
It's fine. You can have it. You have to let your birds fly away.
I will give you the Sound of Music. Okay. I will watch the Sound of Music with you, goddammit.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I have made Kim be on a media blackout because this is one of the most fucked up stories ever. And the real life horror movie version of it is currently happening, and it is breaking news almost every day. So I had to tell her
nothing about it.
Yeah. Well, I had to tell her not to listen to the most recent episode of our favorite podcast, My Favorite Murder, because Karen talks about it. And then like every day I've seen like a new headline about it. So,
well, on the way here, I listened to their newest one, or I started it, but I skipped last week because that was like, Ketrin was like, don't listen to this episode. And I was like, okay. So I know nothing, but she started with some correction corners things, and she's like, back to this. And I was like, no. And I just started like slamming things. Like I was just like bashing my phone and the radio, just being like, for some reason I just panicked and I couldn't
turn it off.
Just hit pause. Like I was just like, no, like just punching things.
Well, you'll be able to listen
and
to
then
all
I just
of it.
fast forwarded for like 10 minutes.
I love it.
I missed the entire beginning of the podcast.
You're such a good friend.
Just so I wouldn't hear
It'll
anything.
be fucking
so I know
worth
nothing.
It. Okay, great. It'll be fucking worth it, and you'll be able to listen on the way home.
Very excited.
Okay. So I did the movie Orphan.
Yes.
All right. So Dead or Alive, Vera Farmiga is in it. Mm-hmm. I think her name is Kate, but I pretty much call her Vera the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Dead or Alive.
Alive.
Peter Sarsgaard, whose name I think is Johnny, but I call him Peter.
Alive.
Esther.
Alive.
Max, who's a little girl.
Dead.
Daniel, little boy.
Dead.
None.
Alive.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Ketrin's got twinkles in her eyes. She's so excited.
Okay. Woman in labor. It's Vera. She has been driven to the hospital by Peter, and she looks so excited. Like she's got like a smile on her face as she's in contractions. And she's put into a wheelchair, and she's getting wheeled down the hall by a nurse. And all of a sudden her screams start to get like more painful. Mm-hmm. And she's like holding her stomach. And then she brings her hand up and it's covered in blood. Uh-oh. And we see an aerial view where like there's blood just trailing behind her, like the wheelchair is being wheeled. But the nurse is not doing anything.
The fuck?
And we get into the operating room and Vera is still awake and all of the doctors are around her. And they're like, your baby is dead. We have to cut it out. And she's like, no, it's not dead. I feel it moving. I feel it kicking. They've given her no anesthetic, her husband is there like filming. Peter Sarsgaard is there filming, and he's just like, congratulations. And she's being literally cut open with no anesthesia. And then they hand her the baby, and it's just like a bloody mass screaming. Wakes up. She goes into the bathroom, and she's not pregnant. We see her like kind of like lift up her shirt, and she's got like a scar, but not in the direction of a C-section. It's like from mons pubis to belly button.
Okay.
Vertical line as opposed to a horizontal line.
Got it.
I knew that was being douchey, and I didn't know how else to explain it. So
I don't think it's douchey. It's quite technical.
Thank you. So she takes a pill and then just kind of sits on the bathroom floor, struggling. Cut to the next day, she's in her therapist's office. And her therapist is like, I really think that these nightmares you're having are obviously a manifestation of the stillbirth. You know, you're processing in it in your subconscious, and we're just going to have to, you know, keep talking it out. And, you know, that's what's happening. And she's like, or maybe I'm not ready to adopt. And the therapist is like, I mean, you have to decide that. But that being said, like, you've gone through a very long adoption process, and you've wanted it up until right now. So I think you need to like explore what it is that's actually going on. We also learned that she developed a drinking problem, and she's an alcoholic and no longer drinks in this therapy session. Cut to Vera picking up her daughter Max, but she's picking her up from a different school than her son Daniel, who's older, because Max is deaf and mute. So she's picking her up from a school for the deaf mute.
Deaf and mute.
Deaf and mute.
Helen Keller up in here.
Right. Well, she can see.
Right. Oh,
so she's got that.
Oh, my brain is
that
this
really
is
useful one. Yeah. So it's.
I just feel like I'm staring blankly at you right now.
I'm just gonna throw things at you every so often, just to
Great.
make sure you're with me.
Deaf and mute.
Deaf and mute.
Okay.
So
not deaf and blind.
And
got it.
I think we learned this later, but I can just tell you now. She's got like a little hearing aid, so basically she can hear enough that it makes it easier for her to read lips. So though they mostly communicate through ASL, she can still like kind of read lips a little bit. And if you were to like go up and like speak directly into her ear, she could hear it.
Like a sound.
But for all intents and purposes, she's deaf. So she's picked up Max from school, and she's driving her home, and she stops at a red light and gets distracted by seeing a bunch of moms walking their kids home from school, and kind of goes into a stupor, and then hears a car horn. So she just floors it. Well, the light hadn't changed. So she almost gets fucking T-boned at a red light.
Jesus Christ.
So we now are like, okay, she's functional, but like she's definitely like mourning, dealing with something. And like my fucking bitch ass, I was like, you already have 2 kids. Why do you?
I mean, I kind of had the same thought. I was like, I mean, I know that's like,
I know it's
traumatic.
I totally
and like horrifying.
A stillbirth is like very, 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 very traumatic for sure. I had to go to a stillbirth funeral one time. It was really oof. So yeah, I know that like your body goes through like, so you're at such a late stage of like hormones and attachment and all that kind of stuff. I totally get it. I was being a bitch. So now we're at home, and it is a gorgeous modern cabin situation because we're in a very snowy place. It's very snow covered, and they're in just this like beautiful cabin where like entire portions of the siding is just windows looking out into like a frozen lake. It's quite beautiful. And we go inside, and Vera is playing the piano. And then we also see that there's this gorgeous greenhouse. Like one whole side of the house is a beautiful enclosed greenhouse. And while playing piano, she hears a thumping. It keeps like distracting her. And she finally is like, oh, I can't concentrate. So she goes outside, and it's Max throwing a basketball up against the wall. And like she can't hear it. So like she has to go out and be like, can you stop? like saying, can you stop, but also using ASL. At that moment, Peter Sarsgaard comes home and he's got Daniel, the other kid. So I would say Max is 5 to 10. Daniel is 12, maybe. So bedtime. Max takes her hearing aid out and puts it on the dresser. And she wants mom to read her a story. And the story she picks up, Vera's like, do you really want to read this one? And Mac's like, yeah, this is the one I want to read. She doesn't say it. She signs it. And Vera starts reading the book to her in ASL. And we're seeing like what she's saying in subtitles. And basically it's about bringing home a new baby sister. But then at the end, it's, I'm glad my baby sister went to heaven, but I would have liked to have met her first. So it's clearly about, which I'm like, I love that people write children's stories like that, where it's like, these are things that are going to be weird to talk about. Let's write a children's story about it.
Yeah. Sweet.
Cut to Vera journaling in a journal. And her bookmark is currently this brochure for an orphanage, St. Marianne's, whatever the fuck. She takes another pill. Peter comes into the bathroom and comes up behind her and he's like getting frisky. And she's like kind of trying to be into it. And then is just like, ugh, I'm not. I'm sorry. I can't. And he's super respectful of it. But she like, you know, she feels bad. And she's like, I'm really nervous about adopting a new kid. But I do want to take the love that we felt for Jessica and like transfer it to a kid who really needs it. Cut to pulling up to an orphanage. And this is like an old school orphanage. All the kids are in uniforms and the ones running it are nuns. And we see someone in the window, like as they're pulling up. And then we get like a POV of the person in the window and Vera and Peter like look up and the person like ducks down. So now Peter and Vera are inside the orphanage and what they're basically doing is like having a little party, quote unquote, for the kids. That's like what they do when people come to possibly adopt because they don't want to tell the kids like, be on your best behavior. You might get a family soon. So they're just like, we're having a pizza party. And so the kids just kind of run around and play. They're seeing all the kids. Peter says he has to go to the bathroom, so he walks away. Vera's still standing with this really sweet nun. And she's just like, you know, it's really brave of you to adopt an older child. A lot of times they don't get adopted, blah, blah, blah. Peter goes upstairs and he hears this like faint singing. And so he kind of is like looking around and he sees this little girl painting in a room all by herself. And the paintings are like really good, like still kids paintings, but one of those things where it's like, we need to put you into a school for gifted children because these paintings are fucking legit.
Yeah.
So he meets Esther and she's so fucking cute. And she's like 9, probably. She is 9. Why did I say 9? I think I said 9 because they tell me she's 9. Yeah, I think she's 9. And
I know exactly what 9 looks like.
Great,
so
perfect.
I've got it.
Willow's 9. So
That just complicated it in my brain. I was like, that's not what I was thinking.
Well, now you know. What did you just spill now? Nothing?
I didn't. Oh, okay. I just had to take this out of like many cup ways.
Yep. The cup village.
The cup village.
You had to make an extraction from the cup village. I get it. So Vera's downstairs talking to the nun and they decide to go look for Peter. And they go upstairs and Peter and Vera having this really sweet conversation with Esther and about her paintings and all that kind of stuff. And the nun is just kind of watching. And Vera's like, why didn't you want to go to the party? And she's like, I mean, I like painting and nobody's ever interested in me. So,
oh, babe.
And it's like really sweet. And she's got a little bit of a Russian accent. Cut to the nun in her like office and she's telling them about Esther's file. She's like, she's from Russia and her English is remarkably good. So clearly she was living with like an English speaking family before this. The family that brought her to America tragically died in a house fire and Esther was like barely saved from it. And she's like, you know, she's a really sweet girl. She's incredibly articulate, very smart. You know, she's like, she's a bit of a princess, though. She has these ribbons that she wears around her neck and wrist all the time. She puts them on every morning, and if you try to get them off, she gets very upset. She's, you know, she always dresses in like her little pinafores and sweet little dresses. She's a little bit of a princess. Mm-hmm. And the nun is like, you know, you seem to really make a connection with her, and she hasn't really experienced that before because she's, you know, older. They decide to adopt her. Cut to 3 weeks later, when like they're actually picking her up and they're driving her home, and it's really cute because like she's in the back and she's like moving her hands, and we realize that like she's trying to learn her brother and sister's name in ASL. Yeah.
Cute.
Really cute. And they pull up to the house, and Esther is basically the 9-year-old version of damn. Like, it's a really nice house, and she's like, holy shit. So at that point, Max comes out and is immediately excited, like runs up and hugs her and is just like so excited. And this is actually where we learn that Max can like she can hear enough that she can read lips. The grandma is there as well, and the grandma is Peter's mom, and she just comments on like, you know, she's super polite. She like seems like such a sweet girl. Daniel thinks she's weird. Daniel's not into it. Esther is really excited about seeing the piano, and she's like, oh my God, you have a piano. And she's so excited, and Vera's like, I can teach you how to play. And she's like, oh my God, that would be amazing. Then she goes into her room, and like her room is dope. It's awesome. It's huge. It's got this like beautiful aquarium in it with like a blue light. So it's like her night light is like this really cool like blue light aquarium. Cool. I was like, may I have one? So now she's opening gifts, and I guess it's like, you know, probably like her gotcha day gifts. And she gets a book of ASL language so she can learn how to talk to her sister. And she gets a really pretty easel and some paints. Actually, it was just a normal easel. I don't know why I said it was a pretty easel. It's just a pretty standard easel.
Just decorative, beautiful easel.
Just a standard series of 3 sticks nailed together. Daniel is playing Guitar Hero with his friend, and he keeps trying to like get Peter's attention to be like, Dad, look, I'm really good. And Peter's just like, yeah, that's cool, buddy, and like not coming over. So Daniel's bummed out. So then he tells his friend, because he's like playing with a friend, and he's like, let's get out of here. Let's go to the tree house. And so he goes outside, and they've got this like bomb ass tree house. Like, I'm like, I'll live in that fucking tree house. In the tree house, it's like Daniel and like 2 friends, I think, and they pull out a Playboy.
Oh shit.
And they're like, page 34 will change your life. And I was like, I wonder what 12-year-old boys would see on page 34 that would be like life changing.
Boobs.
Wait, is it boobs? Because there's boobs on every page.
Boobs.
It's just boobs. Peek-a-boobs.
Peek-a-boobs.
I feel like it's probably got like some labia in there as well. That would be like life changing for a 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
A mons major.
A mons pubis.
Mons pubis.
Yeah, mons pubis. Okay. So they're up in the treehouse having their lives changed. Now we're in the kitchen with Grandma and Vera, and Kim's falling asleep. Wakey, 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 wakey.
They're in the kitchen.
Yep.
Okay.
Wakey, wakies. So, okay, they're in the kitchen.
Just sleep would feel so good.
I know, baby, but I have to tell you this movie. Okay. All right, so she's in the kitchen. There is a little pond, lake or something that's completely frozen over. And Esther and Max are playing outside, like near the lake. And Grandma says, how is she? And Vera says, I mean, she seems to be doing great. And Grandma's like, I meant Maxine. She's playing by the pond like nothing happened. I guess she doesn't remember.
Oh, no.
And Vera's like, nope, she's fine. And Grandma's like, so what are you going to do now? And Vera's like, I don't know. I'm probably going to go back to teaching. And Grandma kind of gives her a look. And she's like, I mean, not at Yale, but from home. And we kind of get the sense that like she wasn't fired from her teaching job, but she may have left under duress, if you will. And the grandma gives her a little bit of shade about drinking and says like an AA term to her. And Vera's like, that's an AA term. I never needed AA. I just quit drinking. And the mom's like, okay. Like just being shade balls. Cut to storm. Cut to storm. Oh, cut to storm. Yeah. Okay. Nighttime. There's a storm. Got it. Vera and Peter's asleep in bed, and Vera hasn't gone to sleep yet. And she comes in and crawls under the covers from his feet to give him a wakey blowjob. Esther, then we see in her room, like wakes up from a strike of lightning. Cut to Esther standing over Max's bed. And we're like, okay. Hi. Cut to knock on Peter and Vera's door as they're fucking. And they're like, come, 1 second, come in. And Max and Esther are there. And they're like, we're scared of the lightning. Can we sleep in here? And they both jump in the bed. And Esther says, I want to sleep next to Daddy. Ooh. And they're like, of course. And they're like just kind of giggling. Like to them, they're like, this is great. Like I love that. I mean, I was trying to fuck, but it's fine. Next day, the kids are getting ready for school. They're about to walk out the door. Esther comes down the stairs and she's in like the type of play clothes I wore. White tights, black patent leather shoes, pinafore dress, and like a bow in her hair. Like looking not like kids in 2009 were dressing. And so Max kind of snickers. Daniel looks like mad about it because he's just like, you're going to embarrass me is kind of his whole thing. And she's dressed in her little dress, and Vera tries to be like, I love your dress. It's so pretty. I don't know if that's like appropriate for school, like for playing. And she's like, I thought you said it was okay to be different. And Vera's like, I did. You're right. Cut to school. She's being introduced in her classroom. And actually, I'm going to take that back. I think maybe Daniel is 9 as well, like 9 or 10, because I think they're in the same class. Oh. So I think they're like 9 or 10. I kind of just realized that. So he just seemed a little older. He seemed like a little bit more of a dick. And I associate that not happening until you're about to be a teenager. But maybe he's a early bloomer. He's a dick early. So
just an early dick.
He's an early dick. So she goes in and all the kids are staring at her and Daniel's super embarrassed. And then some little fucking bitch is like, Little Bo Peep texted. She wants her outfit back. And
mean girl.
And all of the kids laugh. Home after school, Esther is pulling Max around on the frozen pond, like on a sled. Vera is looking out the window doing dishes and loses her mind. Like she runs out and she's like, Max, you know you're not supposed to be on that lake. Like freaks the fuck out. Mm-hmm. Cut to Daniel's also playing, but he's like kind of out in the woods. It's basically like their backyard is just the wilderness, but not like dense forest, just like, there's fun trees and ponds and things. He's playing with a paintball gun. Okay. What's the thing that shoots paintballs? And a pigeon lands on one of the bottles that he's shooting. And he fucking aims for the pigeon. Daniel. And I'm like, what the fuck, Daniel? Like, Daniel, are you kidding me? He aims, shoots the pigeon, and it falls to the ground. Then Daniel is like upset, which I was confused by because I'm expecting him to be like curious, because I'm like, what fucking kid shoots a bird and then is like, what happened? Turns out he didn't realize that the paint was going to hurt the bird, which I'm like, you're an idiot. Have you ever been hit by a fucking paintball? It hurts really fucking bad. And And so like he felt bad. Like he was like, I thought I was just going to like turn the bird yellow. I didn't realize.
Right.
So he's really upset. Esther and Max come over and they see the bird and it's kind of like twitching. Like clearly it's, you know, suffering. And Esther picks up a rock and says, put it out of its misery. It's your responsibility. And Daniel's like, I can't do that. And he's like crying and Max is silent. So Esther's like, okay. And she takes the rock and she smashes the bird, like kersplat.
Oof.
The bird. And then she looks at Daniel and says, it's all right. It's in heaven now.
Okay.
But then has this like teeny tiny little smirk. And Daniel's distraught. And he's like, what's wrong with you? And he runs off. And I'm like, what's wrong with you, Daniel? Okay. You don't know that a paintball is going to kill a teeny tiny little innocent bird, you piece of shit.
I mean, he does now. He's a little kid, Ketrin.
I just would never...
So mad at him.
I'm so mad at him.
He's a little kid.
So, bedtime. Vera's getting Esther ready for bed. Esther goes into her bathroom. She's got her own bathroom. And Vera hears her lock the door. And Vera's like, Esther, we don't lock doors in this house. And Esther's like, oh, I'm sorry. I just want privacy. Is it okay if I sing to you? That's what I used to do to let the nuns know I was all right. I guess she just likes to lock the bathroom when she's in there. And so she's like, I'll sing to let you know that I'm okay. And Vera's like, okay, but just this once. We're going to have a talk about that because we don't lock doors in here. So as Esther is in the bathroom singing, Vera is looking at the painting on her easel, and it's this like beautiful beginnings of like a Gothic building. And it's just kind of the outline of it. So it's like a black outline of a Gothic building painted brown, like the beginnings of it. But it's like really good for like a kid her age. And so she's looking at it. And then Vera starts to like put clothes away in Esther's drawer, and she realizes she can't close the top drawer. So she kind of looks back at the bathroom to see if Esther's still in there. It looks like she is. And she pulls the whole drawer out and reaches back there, and there's a book hidden back there. It appears to be a Bible. So she opens it, and there's like a picture inside of like a man. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of hears something. So she like quickly puts it back and, you know, doesn't want to invade her privacy. And then we see that Esther had actually been watching her from behind the wall. So like Esther had been like singing, but actually hiding in like her closet area. So she saw her do it. Cut to school. Daniel's friends are making fun of her. And Daniel is not standing up for her because he's just super embarrassed. Like his friends keep being like, you know, what's your retard sister doing? So sad. And Daniel's friends end up throwing her books on the ground, like, you know, knock her books out. Daniel does nothing. Shitty Bo Peep comes up and like picks up her Bible. And she's like, is this your Bible? And then like is like, Jesus freak. And Esther tries to grab it back, and they're like struggling, and it like kind of rips out of her hand, and like pages of it just go flying everywhere. So Esther rushes to like pick up all the pages, and Shitty Bo Peep comes up behind her and like goes to touch like her ribbon that she wears around her neck. And she's like, is this your collar, doggy? And she goes to touch it, and Esther just starts screaming and flailing her arms in the middle of the hallway, like full blown crazy, insane temper tantrum. Cut to home, learning the piano. And Vera tries to talk to Esther about the incident that happened at school. And Esther doesn't want to talk about it. And so she's like, you know, I thought we could maybe make a scrapbook to commemorate you being here and your new family. And look, I started it for you. And it's like a notebook, and it's got like a picture of all of them on her gotcha day. And it's got a picture of Max and blah, blah, blah. And Esther smiles, and like she thinks it's really sweet. Then Esther says, who's Jessica? And Vera is like, okay, I'll show you who Jessica is. So she takes her into the greenhouse, and it's this beautiful greenhouse. And in the very center of the greenhouse is this beautiful white rose bush that's growing. And it's got a plaque in front of it commemorating their stillborn. And she says, Jessica's ashes were sprinkled here. And so as long as this plant blooms, Jessica is alive and with us. Mm. And Esther like starts crying and is, you know, just thinks it's really sweet. Cut to nighttime. Kids are asleep. Peter and Vera are in the kitchen and they're getting frisky. Oh. And it's like really cute frisky of like people that have been married, where it's just like, it was a very fun little scene because like they're definitely getting like hot and heavy, and he like bends her over like the counter and they're like boning, but then like she lifts her head up and accidentally like headbutts him, so he's like ow, and she's like sorry, and then they're like laughing as they're boning. It's really cute. And then they kind of turn and Esther's watching.
Oh god. Oh no.
Yeah. And they're like, oh fuck, because it's like different than just getting caught. They're like, now we have to like explain what we were doing, and I don't want to do this. So the next day, Vera marches into Esther's room and she's like, we gotta talk about last night. And she's like, kids aren't supposed to see that. When a mommy and daddy love each other very much, they want to express it. And Esther turns, she's painting, and Esther turns and she goes, I know, they fuck.
Oh shit.
And
she
then
said
turns,
they fuck?
yes.
Wow.
And then turns back around to paint. And Vera is just like, So now she's cutting to her telling Peter what happened. And she's like, she just said it like no big fucking deal. Like she knew exactly what it meant. And like, I don't know what to do about that. She's like, who knows who her parents were before this? Who knows if they were like, you know, past the fucking potatoes or whatever. And she's like, I think we need to take her to the shrink. And Peter's like, it's like, let's not make a big deal about her saying like one bad word and like make it a whole thing before we, you know, this was just one incident. We don't want to like freak her out, you know? And so Vera's like, okay, I'll just fucking spend some time with her then. And Peter's like, all right, bitch. And they like laugh. It was cute. And I was like, I agree. Like if that's the only thing, you know, you can have a conversation with her, but you don't actually know what she's experienced. Cut to playground. Not a school playground as I originally thought. Peter has taken Max and Esther to a playground. Very snowy. This whole movie is snowy. Just snow. Always snow. Esther's on the swing and she's watching Shitty Bo Peep, who's there as well. And Shitty Bo Peep feels that Esther is watching her and is just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, why do you keep staring at me? Then a woman comes up to Peter and starts flirting with him. Asks him if he can come over at some point. I just have this chair that I need to move upstairs.
I mean, I've got a chair for Peter Skarsgard to move to, personally.
Also have a chair for Peter Sarsgaard to...
Sarsgaard, not Skarsgard. We've already had this conversation.
It's too confusing. It's too confusing. They need... The Sarsgaard and Skarsgard family need to get together
and be like, I'm me, you're you.
Yeah, and just be
this
like,
is we.
I'll be Sarsgaard. I think Peter gets to be Sarsgaard. He was on the scene earlier.
Yes.
And then the Skarsgard family is going to have to be Smith.
Oh, you want them to change their name?
Well, I mean, Peter got there first is all I'm saying.
All right. That's fine.
You know, it's only fair. So
Peter can do whatever he wants in my book.
Literally whatever he wants. Like he can he can rearrange any furniture I have.
He can, rearrange my furniture and my mons pubis.
Yep. I have a mons pubis that I need you to rearrange.
Really needs to move to another room.
So Peter is definitely blushing, but uncomfortable and awkward, but smiling. But then he does exactly the right thing because he's like, oh, sure, just give us a call. Kate and I will come over and move it.
Good job,
Vera. While this is all happening, Esther's on the swing and she's staring daggers at the woman who's flirting with Peter. Then the Bo Peep kid is looking back at Esther, and we're just having this staring contest. Then Bo Peep Kid turns away, looks back at the swing. Esther's not on the swing anymore. So shitty Bo Peep is like climbing the ladder into like a, you know, playground castle kind of thing. And she just seems nervous. Like she's walking very gingerly, kind of looking around, and like kids keep popping out and startling her. But she's just like, what is my problem? Like she's just feeling a little weird. And it turns out she was trying to make it to the slide, and it's this long, like frozen fucking slide. And she's standing at the top of the slide when all of a sudden, pushed! And she fucking falls off the side, hits her leg, and we like see her leg like split. Ugh. Like it was just like right angle of my shin. Max sees the whole thing. Uh-oh. And Esther just kind of ducks behind a window. Window, because it's like, you know.
Yeah, the little castle window.
So they're at dinner. And Vera says to Esther, Brenda's father says you pushed her. Brenda, I guess, is little Bo Peep Kid. And Esther's like, no, she slipped. Vera asks Max what happened. And Max signs she slipped. And Daniel is now being like a real straight up Crapbag kid. Like he sucks right now.
A Crapbag kid?
Crapbag.
He's a real crack
He's
bag.
a cracky crapbag. Yeah, he's a cracky crapbag. He's being a real crap bag kid. And he's just annoyed at everything Esther says or does. He's annoyed at the way she's cutting her steak. And Daniel's annoyed at everything she does. Max is signing something to Daniel, and Daniel's like, what is she saying? And Esther's like, she wants you to pass the bread and butter. And that's what sets Daniel off, because he's like, oh, now she knows how to talk to my sister better than I do. Like he just, it sets him off. And Daniel's like, you fucking eat wrong. And she's like, you know, she's like, go back to Transylvania where you came from. Go back to the retard camp in Transylvania where you came from. Like just being a real crap bag. And Esther's like, Transylvania is not a country. It's part of Romania. And you're an idiot. Like she just schools him. And Daniel's like, my friends make fun of me because of her, send her back to retard camp. She's not my fucking sister. And says fucking sister. And then leaves the table. And Peter just, and I was like, this must be what parenting's like, because Peter and Vera just kind of look at each other, and Peter just goes, I'll take this one. So he leaves. Cut to Peter putting a padlock on the trapdoor of the treehouse. Oh, so they can't get into
trouble.
Yeah. And he walks past Daniel sitting on a log, and he's just like, you'll get the key back when you say you're sorry, and walks back into the house. Cut to the grocery store. Vera's there with Esther and Max, and the nun calls, and she's like, how's Esther doing? And she's like, oh, she's right here. She's doing great. Do you want to talk to her? And Esther's like, no. And Vera's like, oh, sorry. I don't know. She's being shy. And the nun is like, oh, that's okay. You know, it's a big transition for her. It's no big deal. And she's like, just a reminder that we need you to send her dental records for her files as soon as you get them from the orphanage. And Vera's like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. So Esther enlists, at this point, Vera has kind of walked away. Like they're standing by the produce. Vera's walked away a little bit. Esther enlists Max to read Vera's lips. And she's like, tell me what she's talking about. And Max says, she's talking about you, and she's talking about how you may have pushed a girl down the slide. And the nun seems concerned on the other end. Cut to home. Vera walks in, and she hears someone playing Tchaikovsky on the piano. She walks over to the piano. Esther is fucking playing it.
Oh.
And Vera's like, you told me you didn't know how to play. And Esther says, no, I didn't. You offered to teach me and I accepted. I thought it would be fun for you. Your son doesn't care and your daughter can't hear. So Vera was like, you're not wrong. This is very creepy. Cut to the bedroom, and Vera is getting weird about shit. She feels weird about Esther, and Peter is defending Esther. He's like, she's 9 and we have no idea what her fucking life was, and you're being irrational. She just was trying to connect with you, so she didn't want to say that she already knew how to play piano, blah 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 blah. Then Vera says, you know, Esther told me you were hitting on that lady at the playground.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And Peter's like, I wasn't. And she's like, well, I mean, why would I believe you? And he's like, it was 10 fucking years ago. And Vera's like, it was 10 years ago, but you only told me 2 years ago.
Ooh.
And he reminds her, like, he's clearly super defensive, because then he reminds her, he's like, I'm not the one who endangered our children because I drank too much. So if I can forgive you for that, you can forgive me for something that happened a decade ago. So the foundation is crumbling, if you will. We see that Esther can hear them from her room, where she's standing at her easel, painting and smiling.
Smiling.
Creeps. Daniel's playing Guitar Hero downstairs. Max is drawing, and we hear the doorbell. Esther goes to get it. It's the nun.
Hi, nun.
Hi. She decides to go have a conversation with Peter and Vera. So they're sitting in the living room, and the nun says, I need to talk to you about Esther.
Uh-oh.
I didn't think it was anything.
Uh-oh.
Until you told me about her pushing the little girl off the slide. And now some things are falling into place for me that I want to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. She says something is wrong with Esther. She was always around when shit went down, basically. Like, anytime something bad happened, Esther was always there.
Okay.
I don't have any other information than that, other than I feel like I needed to come here and tell you about it. At her old school, a boy was accidentally stabbed through the jaw with scissors. And he, was running and fell.
I'm sorry.
On them?
Accidentally stabbed through the jaw
with scissors.
Fuck.
Yeah. I mean, this is why they tell you not to run with scissors.
It's true.
So he just fell jaw first onto a pair of scissors.
Owies.
But weirdly enough, Esther was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also looked into the fire that killed her American family.
Uh-huh.
It was ruled arson. That's all I'm going to say.
Seems like you could have told us these things before we adopted her.
What it sounds like is she didn't. It was always coincidences.
Right.
And she didn't look into the fire until because when a little kid comes to your orphanage, it's just like, it's so sad. Her
of
whole
course.
family was
Yeah. Like, why would you ever think that?
Yeah. Question 1.
Okay.
What do you do, and what does Vera or Peter do?
They are concerned, but they're gonna keep her.
Okay.
I'm gonna send her back.
How are you gonna do that, though?
I'm gonna
because
be
you've adopted
like,
her. You are her legal guardian.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, I don't actually know how adoption works. I don't know if there's like a 30-day return policy or something. I'm not sure.
No, you're a horrible person.
I know.
I'm gonna pull out my receipt.
Okay.
And be like, hello, sir. I'd like a return, please.
Okay. Yep.
No, yeah. Fucking be like, none. You didn't give us all the information.
Okay.
And she needs to go back. She's a lemon. I'm so sorry. She's a person.
I mean,
God.
She's a lemon person. Possibly. All right. So you think they keep her?
For sure.
And you're sending the lemon back to the dealership.
I am.
Great.
I don't trust no creepy crap bag kids.
Yep.
I don't trust no creepy crap bag kids.
Okay. That's 1.5.
Okay.
They do keep her. But Vera does something else, which we'll learn in 1 second. Mm-hmm. So as this conversation with the nun is happening, we see that Esther's been listening at the top of the stairs the whole time.
She's always listening.
She's a fucking creepy crapbag. She's kind of... Never mind. I'll keep that to myself. So...
Now I desperately want to know.
Yeah. So Esther then goes into Max's room and signs to Max, I need you to help me. There's a mean lady here who wants to take me away. And Max, who loves her new big sister, is like, sure. So back downstairs with the nun says, I want to look into the orphanage that she came from. I just want to get a little bit more information from the orphanage she came from in Russia. Cut to Esther and Max in the tool shed. Esther picks up a hammer and Max holds keys up to Esther, clearly being like, I found the thing you were looking for. So Esther takes the keys, tries a bunch of them in a safe that's in there. She finds it. She opens the safe. And there's a gun in there with bullets. She takes all the bullets out except for one and fucking like spins it Russian roulette style, closes it back up, holds it right to Max's head.
No!
And says, do you want to play?
No, I don't, you creepy crap bag.
Right. And now at this point, Max is like, if I could talk, I would call you a creepy crap bag.
Yes.
But Max
How
is
do
just
I sign creepy crap bag?
Yeah. But Max is just like, you know, she's 5 to 10. So she's just like tears in her eyes and just like shakes her head. Baby. So now we hear that the nun is leaving. The nun's gotten into her car. And Max and Esther are now hiding on the other end of a bridge that the nun has to cross to get, like, it's as if it's like one of those really long driveways that's basically a road. And she's hiding they're hiding kind of behind like a pillar at the other end of the bridge. And Esther says to Max, we'll scare her so much she never comes back. Then we cut to the nun lighting a cigarette in the car. And so she's kind of distracted for a second. As the car is right about to pass the pillar, Esther pushes Max into the road. And Max is like, no. And the nun sees her, swerves into ice, and like crashes her car into like a bridge, into like a snow embankment. The nun gets out and goes to Max, who's like sobbing in the middle of the road. And she's like, are you okay? Like, where did you come from? Esther comes up behind her and hits her with the hammer.
Oh my God.
Max is crying. Esther signs to her, stop crying. Help me get her off the road. As they're pulling her off the road,
Jesus Christ,
a car is coming. So Esther kind of like kicks the nun down a hill, like down a snow embankment. At the bottom of the hill, the nun wakes up and starts like army crawling, like moaning, trying to get away. Esther hits her with a hammer over and over and over and over again.
Fuck.
Poor little Max is just standing there like, I don't want to play this game anymore. And Esther says, help me hide her.
Oh my God.
Cut to the treehouse. Esther is hiding the hammer and something else under like a little cubby hole where they hide all their Playboys. Max is there just like hugging her knees, so scared. And Max signs to her, you tricked me. And Esther says, that doesn't matter. They'll send you to jail just for helping me. I had to do it or she'll tell on me. And she says, you're not going to tell, are you? Don't worry, you're my little sister. I love you. I won't let anything happen to you. And then hugs and kisses her.
Creepy crap bag.
Kim.
What?
As Max.
Yes.
What do you do and what does Max do?
I'm going to tell my fucking parents.
Okay.
This bitch just killed someone.
Okay. And what does she do?
Fuck. I think that she keeps the secret and is because she's scared that she's going to get in trouble, basically.
That's 1.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn why it's a half point. You're partly right. She does keep the secret, but she also does something that we find out later. So, Daniel has been hiding in the woods by the treehouse, not by where the nun was. And he's hiding behind a rock, and he sees Esther and Max coming out of the treehouse, and he's hiding behind a rock. And he ducks down real quick because Esther looks and sees him, and he ducks down. And he's like, did she see me? She walks away. At this point, you're Daniel. What do you do and what does he do?
I think he goes up into the treehouse to try to, snoop around and see what they were doing up there.
And what do you do?
I take a nap.
Wakey.
Let's see. What do I do?
I guess it's important to remind you that you're like 9 or 10.
Right. I guess I follow her. I'm going to follow them and just keep seeing what they're doing.
I'm going to give you no points.
Great.
We cut to Daniel in bed asleep, nighttime. He wakes up to a box cutter being held to his throat.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And Esther standing over his bed. And she says, what did you see? Who did you tell? And Daniel's like, I didn't see shit and I didn't tell nobody. I'm fucking terrified. And she's like, you tell anyone. I'll cut your hairless little prick off before you even know what it's for.
Oh my God.
And then she looks down and says, you pissed yourself.
Shit.
Daniel doesn't say anything. He's just laying in bed crying, understandably so.
Can you imagine being this little actress girl?
No. And I have so many things to talk about afterwards.
Can't wait.
So now we cut to the doctor's office. Oh, because when the nun was there, Vera did get Peter to like agree to at least take her to the shrink.
Okay.
So now they're at the doctor's office and Esther's coming out of the doctor's office with Dr. Alice. And she's like, it was so nice to meet you, Alice. I hope we can be friends. So now Esther is sitting in the waiting room and Peter and Vera go in. And basically Dr. Alice is like, there's nothing wrong with her. Honestly, it's you, Vera. And she's like, she's had a lot of difficult transitions in her life. Like basically everything that's happening to her, she's highly functional for everything she's been through. But she says that she's trying to bond with you and all she feels is tension. And Alice is like, perhaps you feel inadequate as a mother due to your drinking and what happened to Max. And she's picking up on that. Peter is not defending her. Peter's just sitting on the other end of the couch like, sounds about right.
Oh, shit.
And the doc is telling Vera, she just needs to be patient and be understanding. As the doctor is telling her this, we're intersplicing this with seeing Esther in a bathroom stall, sitting on the floor going, she didn't see, she doesn't know. And then having a full-blown flailing temper tantrum, like kicking shit, like kicking the toilet paper off the wall, like breaking the toilet, like banging on the walls, kicking shit, like losing her mind. As the doctor is like, you just need to be patient and you're a bad mom. Now they're home. Esther kind of like goes inside first, clearly feeling uncomfortable and whatever. Peter and Vera are not doing well. And Vera felt super unsupported. And Peter is like, I mean, she didn't say anything to me that didn't make sense. At that point, Vera's phone rings. And it's another nun from the orphanage being like, I just want to make sure that Sister So-and-so made it to your appointment. Mm-hmm. And Vera's like, yeah, she left, yeah. She's like, because she hasn't been back in 2 days. Mm. Cut to the bridge. Cops find her body down the bridge, down the snow embankment, frozen and covered over. Cops are now at Vera and Peter's house, and Peter's like, I just don't understand who would do this. Like, I can't believe we were the last place she was, blah, blah, blah. And Vera just looks upstairs. In Esther's room, Esther is standing in front of her painting. And the light is off, but all we see is the aquarium that I told you about with that black light in there. Is it a black light where it like makes things glow in the dark? Yeah. She's turning the black light on and off, just clicking it on and off while we see that she's looking at her painting. Camera pans around to her painting. When the black light is off, it's the building. When the black light is on, we see that it's like demons and dead bodies hanging from the window and skull faces and like people fucking and like crazy shit. Damn. But you can't see it unless you shine a black light on it.
It's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. I kind of like want it, like that painting. And so it's like really creepy shit. So Kim, at this point, what do you do and what does Vera do? Now, she didn't see the painting. That was just a scene that was happening. Right. All she knows is that the nun is dead and shit's getting weird.
I am going to pack up Esther and put her in my car. Drive her back to the orphanage.
You're going to say put her in my suitcase.
Put her in my pocket.
Yep.
And bring her back to there and say, good day, ma'am. Lovely to meet you. Yep. I'll be on my way. She's concerned. I can tell she's concerned.
And remember, I don't know if this influences it, but Peter is not on board.
Right.
Peter, I mean, I don't blame Peter in that he's like, she's 9. We don't actually know anything about her. We don't know what she's been through. And you're suspecting a 9-year-old of brutally murdering a nun.
I mean, I was going to say that she just talks to her about it because she seems to be like we need to talk about this kind of thing. Right. To just be like, oh, did you see her or anything like that? But now I feel like she just does nothing. Like she's just like, okay, let's just keep an eye on her and hope we all stay alive.
Yeah. 1 point for you. I think at this point, who cares about the return policy? Just take that lemon back.
Goodbye.
See ya. If we're trying to stay alive, we can't be worrying about.
No, yeah. I don't want no lemonade.
No,
you take it away.
So, cut to Vera at her computer, Googling creepy crapbag kids. Right. Like she's just like, what if my kid is a creepy crapbag? And she shows the results to Peter. And there was a term for it. I can't remember what it was. It was like,
psychopath,
something like that. Yeah. But it was like, look, Peter, this is what I'm talking about. They're incredibly charming. Mm-hmm. They can't keep friends. They're manipulative. Mm-hmm. And Peter's like, you need to keep seeing your doctor. As this is happening, they turn around because the refrigerator slams. Esther was getting herself a glass of milk.
Oh, of course she was.
Creepy crap bags always drink milk.
I love their milk.
And she's just watching them and walks back upstairs. And so Vera and Peter are like, did she hear us? Like it's a 50-50 chance as to whether or not she actually heard them. Vera convinces him to just learn more. Let's just do a little bit more research, okay? Right. Let's just do our due diligence. She says, I'm going to call the orphanage that she came from. And that's why I didn't give you a point, because she's like, the nun was supposed to talk to the orphanage.
Right.
She's
makes sense.
Dead as a doornail. Let's call the orphanage. So as somebody is making dinner, she's making dinner, she's on the phone with the orphanage that she has paperwork from Esther having come from there. And the orphanage is like, we don't have any record of her being here. And she's like, how could you not have a record of her being there? Cut to the dinner table. They're all eating dinner and Vera is just kind of like suspiciously staring at Esther. Cut to icy times outside. It's the morning and Esther is in bed. Peter's coming in to wake her up. And he's like, Esther, time to get up. And she's not moving. Esther, time to get up. And I'm like, are there just fucking pillows under that blanket right now? Is she not in there? And so Peter walks over slowly and like touches the shit, jumps up. And she's like, just kidding. And then she's like, I don't want to go to the dentist. And Peter's like, are you scared? And she's like, yes. And he's like, what does he say? What does he say? And what do you say? She doesn't want to go to the dentist.
He says, I say, sorry, bitch, you're Lemon, and I gotta get your teeth checked.
Let's go, Lemon.
And he's like, what does he say? He says, I'm gonna, fuck. I guess he says, I think he says that it's gonna, I think he says, you look at Ben's face. I think he says that the dentist isn't scary and still has her go.
1 point for you.
God damn it.
Peter's a fucking idiot. And he's like, all right, we can skip today.
He says to not go?
Gonna reschedule.
Oh, because I was like, he's still a parent. You still need to go to the dentist.
I guess he says they're gonna reschedule. God
damn it.
And so Peter lets her skip and says, we can skip if you come downstairs and draw with me. And because I guess for Peter, like, he's like responding to trauma. Like, he's like, this is really traumatic. I don't disagree. I'm just like, yeah, but it's a creepy crap bag. Like, please know that this is a creepy crap bag.
Yeah.
Vera is the one driving the other kids to school. Esther, I guess, was staying home because she had a dentist appointment.
Oh.
Daniel and Max still have to go to school. So it was like, Peter, you take Esther to the dentist. I'll take the kids to school. So before she drops them off, Vera's like to Max and Daniel, how's it going with Esther? And both kids are like, good, fine, great, perfect.
Bye.
It's awesome. But it's good. She's perfect. We love her. Goodbye. And Vera's just kind of like, okay. But both of the kids like don't, she can read them.
Yeah.
So back at home, it's just Peter and Esther. And Peter is maybe an architect or something because he's like doing drawing. I don't know. And she's painting. And she's like, I like it being just two of us. Mom doesn't like me. Mm-hmm. And Peter's like, no, she definitely, she loves you. You're just as much a part of this family as Daniel and Max are. And she's like, what? And he's like, why don't you do something nice for her to show her how much you love her? And Esther's like, I like that idea. Cut to nighttime.
Let me kill something and put it on her pillow. Ooh.
Close. Vera's making dinner. Esther comes in and she's holding something behind her back. And she says, I did something nice for you. And she pulls out a bouquet of over a dozen white roses. She cut all the flowers off of Jessica's grave. Vera loses her fucking
I'm losing my mind right now. Just thinking about it.
Yeah. Loses her mind.
Wow.
Grabs Esther's arm and like shakes her and is like, why would you do this? Peter's watching the whole thing. He knows that she was just like trying to do something nice. And Vera is losing her fucking mind. And Peter like understands how traumatic this would be for Vera, but is just like, it was my fault. I told her to do something nice. At this point, Esther has run away upstairs. Cut to nighttime. Vera is just sitting in front of Jessica's grave in the greenhouse, sobbing. Esther, it's even later at nighttime. Esther is in her father's workshop. She grabs a screwdriver and a rag. She wraps the screwdriver in a rag and then puts it in her mouth and bites down. She then puts her arm into a vise. And she turns and turns and turns and turns until snap!
Ah!
She breaks her own fucking arm.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But it's like, she's biting the thing. Goes upstairs, lays back down in bed. Daddy, my arm still hurts. Peter comes in and the bone, like he can see where the bone is broken. So he takes her to the hospital. Brings her back home. Cut to like he brought her back home. Her arm's in a cast. And he says to Vera, he's like, you broke her fucking arm. And Vera's like noticeably shaken, but she's also like, I know that I didn't grab her that hard. Like, that's impossible. And Peter says, you should sleep downstairs. Esther says she's too afraid and wants to sleep in the bed with me.
Oh my God. Creepy Crapbag kids.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Cut to Vera at a liquor store.
Oh, fuck.
She gets 2 bottles of wine.
No, Vera.
She's sitting in the kitchen and she's poured herself a glass of wine, but she didn't drink it. And then she thinks better of it and pours the glass and the bottle down the drain. Cut to the next morning, pulling up to school with all the kids. Okay, so she's got Max and Daniel's in the front seat, Max and Esther in the back. Daniel gets out and he's walking up the stairs to his school, and then all of a sudden, like, all of his books fall out, like out the bottom of his bag. And so Vera gets out really quick and she's like, what the fuck happened to your bag? Like, she's like, Daniel, you dropped all your books. And she's like looking at the backpack and she's like, we just bought this. Then we see that Esther has gotten out of the car, gotten back into the driver's seat. She puts the car in neutral and releases the parking brake. The car, with Max still in it, starts rolling down a hill. Now, you'll need to picture this for your next question. So, to get to the school where she's dropping Daniel off, she had to drive up a slight hill. At the bottom of that hill is a perpendicular road. Okay? On the other side of that perpendicular road is a snow hill, snow embankment or whatever. But it's a busy road, both roads. There's cars, there's people. It's not a not busy road. The car is rolling backwards. What do you do, and what does anyone do? Vera, Max, person on the street, you can answer as anyone. What do you do?
Jesus,
what does anyone do?
Christ.
And it's icy and in neutral and rolling down the street on a hill. And I'll tell you right now, I know what is done. I don't know what I would do. So I'm curious.
I, as Max, am going to get in the front seat and hit the brakes and try to get control of the car.
Okay.
She's
still in a like a booster seat. Like she's strapped in. I'm not saying she couldn't get out of it, but she's not a full grown person.
Okay.
And I don't know that she would even know, like, I don't even know if she knew what a brake was or if she could reach it.
Okay. I, as Vera, am going to, I think I'm going to run. Oh, fuck. Is the perpendicular road like close-ish?
It's about a block away. She's rolling about a block.
Okay.
Or block and a half.
I'm going to run to that road and try to stop all the traffic.
Okay.
For the car to kind of be able to go through there.
Okay. That's what Vera does?
That's
okay.
what I'm going to do.
That's what you're going to do. Okay.
Vera screams for help, and my brain is mush. and people run and stop the car. I don't know. Other parents. I don't know.
That's 1.5 points.
Oh.
You got a half point. 1 point for Vera, half point for you because sure, but like you couldn't run that fast if you tried.
Yeah.
But what else are you gonna do? Just watch it. So half point for you. One dude actually he tries to catch it because he's further down the road, so he tries to catch it, but he can't. He like grabs the door and can't get it, but then like is hit, like he can't keep up. So luckily the car is rolling down, barely is missed by cars driving perpendicularly, and is stopped by the snow. Cut to the doctor's office. Peter and the doctor are talking to Vera, and they're like, you're fucked up and you're drinking again and you're going to rehab. And Vera's like, I am not drinking. Oh, it was an intervention at her house. So they're not at the doctor's office. I apologize. The doctor came there. And she's like, I'm not drinking. I want Esther gone. I know that she did that. There's no other explanation. Max was still strapped into her chair. Peter then pulls out the other bottle of wine that she hadn't opened and says, the girls found this. And Vera says, you mean Esther found it? Just like it. And he's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, you need to go to rehab for at least a week. Esther is listening and making Max read lips at the top of the stairs as they're talking. And then she whispers into Max's hearing aid. Because remember, she can hear if you're like right up to her, and says, I'll shoot mommy if you tell anyone.
Jesus Christ.
Because fucking Max saw her release the brake. Daniel then goes into Max's room as this is all happening. Max is in there now. Like she ran into her room. Daniel goes in and he's like, tell me what you know so mom and dad can protect us. And Max says, she signs, I can't tell. And this is where you got a point somewhere or whatever. She's like, I can't tell. But she pulls out a bunch of pictures. She's drawn pictures of everything that's happened.
Oh, wow.
So she didn't tell anyone. She just drew the pictures. And Daniel's like, so the stuff is in the treehouse? She hid it in the treehouse? And Max just nods her head and she's like, I'll get this stuff from the treehouse and then they'll have to believe us. Well, Esther's listening outside the door the whole time. And I'm like, Daniel, come on.
Crapbag.
So Vera now gets up in the middle of the night. Okay. And she starts putting her jeans on. Like she's trying to kind of sneak out. We're like, what is she doing? She sneaks into Max's room. And as she goes over to Max's bed, light flicks on. It's Esther sitting in the chair.
Fucking creepy Crapbag.
And she says, going somewhere? And Max doesn't wake up. And Esther, and she's like talking at full voice. So like Vera looks down at Max. She doesn't wake up. And Esther is just like, she's fine. It's nothing. And I'm like, did she fucking drug her? Because they're talking at full voice right now.
But she's deaf.
Oh, she's deaf. That's right. Oh, duh. She's deaf. Yeah, she didn't drug her. She's deaf. Got it. But she's like, it's fine. It's nothing. So then Vera is like, go to your room. And Esther says, honestly, Kate, aren't we past that?
Wow.
And she's like, I'm not the one who passed out drunk and let Max almost drown. If it wasn't for Peter, you'd still be in jail. And she pulls out Vera's journal.
Oh, shit.
And starts reading from the journal. And she's like, so fetal phantom syndrome? You felt Jessica kicking even though she was dead inside your body.
This creepy crap bag lemon motherfucker.
Yeah, she is a fucking sour ass lemon. So then Vera is just like, you bitch. Like, however you say bitch to a 9-year-old. I don't know. And Esther just stands up and is basically like, what you gonna do, bitch? Doesn't say bitch.
Yeah.
And then leaves. Kim.
What
do you do and what does she do?
This is like one of those hard ones where like everyone, it's like when you're like put in a mental institute or something,
right.
and everyone thinks you're crazy.
Yes.
And you're like, but I'm the one that's not crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
Okay. All right. What am I? Who am I? I'm Vera.
Yes. And I would say start with what you would do.
I'm going to fuck.
I know. There's something that Vera hasn't done, and I'll tell you later, that I'm like surprised she didn't do earlier on that I think would have solved a lot of problems. Maybe too late for it now, but if I ever accidentally adopt a creepy crapbag kid, I think this is the first thing I'm going to do.
I don't know. Wow. I'm going to.
Do you want one of my clues that you hate?
Fine.
She goes to find something that she previously knows Esther has.
Okay. She goes to find that Bible.
Okay.
And investigate this bitch.
Okay.
And where she came from.
What do you do? Let's make some lemonade out of this bitch.
Yeah. I'm going to.
You're like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to start a new life.
I know, right?
Leave everything behind.
I want to take her back to the orphanage, but I'm like even nervous about doing that. Like okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of melatonin.
Oh.
Sleep in something.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in her milk.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make her take a little nap.
Nappy poo.
While she's napping,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drive her back to the orphanage.
Okay.
I'm going to wait till she wakes up.
Uh-huh.
So she's a little fucking monster again.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to give her back to the orphanage and say, we are no longer doing this. She is yours. Goodbye.
That's 1.5 points. I gave you a half point because, yeah, you got to get this bitch out of your house. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to need to like have some sort of proof that she's a creepy crap bag. So I'm surprised that she hasn't installed cameras at some point in her house. Yeah. That was the thing where I was like, I would have done that probably back at the possibly pushing a kid off the slide point.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
What does she do? She goes into Esther's room and she gets the Bible. Meanwhile, when she snuck into Esther's room to get the Bible. Meanwhile, Daniel has gotten a crowbar and is sneaking into the treehouse to pry open the lock. Mm-hmm. Vera finds the journal Bible stuffed into a stuffed animal. So it's no longer in the drawer where she kept it because Esther knows that she found it there. So she stuffed it into a stuffed animal. She opens it up and the Bible has pictures in it of a bunch of dad age people, dad type people, along with, and then on the back, she turns it over and it's a Bible from the Sarn Institute. So she decides to call the Sarn Institute and she's like, I'm looking for information about an orphan that came from your orphanage, this many years ago. The person that picks up doesn't speak English. So she's now trying to be like, is there anyone who speaks English? The grandmother is watching from the couch this whole time. I guess the Peter probably had the grandmother like, can you be home when Vera's home? Because what the fuck? Interspliced Daniel going to the treehouse. Back to the Russian-speaking person who doesn't speak English has brought an English-speaking orderly to the phone. And she's like, great, can you tell me what records you have on an orphan that left your orphanage? Her name is blah, 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 blah. And the English-speaking orderly is like, we don't have anyone like that came from here. And she's like, that's impossible. Like, she has a Bible from your orphanage. And he goes, well, we're not an orphanage, ma'am. We're a mental institution. And she's like, what the fuck? Back to the treehouse, Daniel finds the cubby. Esther's right there. She then opens up a bag of stuff and dumps it on the ground and is like, looking for this? And it's like the cloth, like it's like a bloody clothes, bloody cloth, the hammer, all that stuff. And she drops it all on the floor and then she takes out a bottle of kerosene and just starts spraying it. And as she's spraying it, she's saying, it won't just be me that they take away. They will take your sister too. She was there. She said nothing. And she's like, we need to just get rid of all of it. And so she fucking lights a match. The shit goes up like kindling. And Esther just sneaks down the hatch. And between the hatch and Daniel is a blazing fucking fire. Like he's truly fucked. Esther is now down on the ground, just watching the treehouse up in flames. Back to Vera talking to the institution. And they're like, we're in Estonia, ma'am. We're not in Russia. And she's like, no way. All of her shit is from Russia. The treehouse is up in flames. Daniel's trying to climb out of it. Esther is just watching him. He falls to the ground unconscious. Esther picks up a giant rock.
Oh my God.
Walks over to Daniel and says, don't worry, you go to heaven. Push to the ground. Max was there the whole time. Pushes Esther to the ground.
Max!
Just as this is all happening, Vera sees the treehouse up in flames, puts down the phone, runs outside. And it just cuts to Daniel in a coma at the hospital. Peter and Vera... Peter still doesn't believe her. And she's like, you know what? Fine. I will leave. I'll leave. It's fine. But she has to leave too. Because I will literally do anything to keep my children safe. Cut to Max is sitting on Grandma's lap next to Esther. And Esther says to Grandma, may I have $1 to get a soda? And Grandma looks at her and says, your mom wants you to stay right here. So here's $1. Because she thinks Vera's full of shit. Kim, as Max, what do you do and what does Max do? Wake up!
I'm going to
we're in the creepy crapbag home stretch, bitch.
Gonna tell... I guess, fucking A, dude. I gotta tell people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell everyone, honestly.
Okay. What does little Maxine do?
Does she tell Grandma? Question mark?
1 point. Point for you. Yeah. Tell anybody. Tell everyone. Scream it from the hills. Max does something close. She follows Esther. She goes to the soda machine. Esther's not at the soda machine. So she looks around and goes to Daniel's room. Esther is standing over top of Daniel. She's taken his oxygen mask off.
Oh my God.
And is smothering him with a pillow. Flatline. She takes the pillow off. Dead open eyes from Daniel. He's dead.
Oh my God.
Then we hear code 99 ICU. Peter and Vera hear it. And they're like, what the fuck? And they start running. Everyone rushes to Daniel's room. And the doctors are like, it's cardiac arrest. He's in cardiac arrest. And they're like, we got a pulse. They get him going again. Vera runs to Esther and slaps her in the face. And she's like, what did you do? The orderlies grab her because as far as they see, she's just
hit a child.
And they restrain her and sedate her. Peter protects Esther. As she's being like, restrained by the orderlies, her phone falls to the ground and we see that there's a missed call on her phone. Uh-huh. Vera then wakes up and she's all groggy in hospital bed. And Peter is standing over her and says, I'm going to take the girls home. You're going to stay here. Daniel is stable. And she just is, and Vera's just like, I don't want her near Max. And then passes back out. And we just see Peter leading Esther out of the room, who looks back at Vera. Cut to Peter tucking Max into bed, takes her aid out, puts it on the end table. Esther signs goodnight to Max and leaves. Peter then tucks her in and he too leaves. Esther's gone to bed. Peter goes downstairs to the couch and opens a bottle of wine. Now we see that Esther has not actually gone to bed. Peter's downstairs drinking. Esther is in their room and she's trying on a bunch of Vera's dresses. And she's like cutting one up, like cutting it shorter and stuff.
I'm concerned.
And we see that Peter has finished the bottle of wine with the quickness. Here comes Esther. And we just see from the waist down that she's wearing a black lacy dress that she's like cut to fit her.
I'm concerned.
And she's carrying a knife in her hand. And she's walking towards Peter, who's almost passed out on the couch. And he kind of wakes up and he's like, what do you? And she puts a cheese plate down. Looks delicious. All different kinds of cheeses and fruits.
Cheese, good.
And then we pan up to her face and she's got makeup on. And her hair's done. He can barely see. He's so drunk.
No.
She rests her head on his shoulder and she says, I love you, Daddy. I really love you. And she kisses him on the cheek. Then she kisses him again on the cheek.
Oh, God.
Kisses the corner of his mouth. Then she kisses. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, good.
Peter kind of comes to. And she says, you said you loved me. And Peter says, oh, honey, you're so confused. That's the way Vera and I love each other. That's not how a daddy loves his daughter. And she is like, I just don't think anyone respects you. And I think about what you need.
No, stop!
He starts crying because he's fucking wasted. I mean, he drank that bottle in like 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. He just starts crying and he's just like, I'm so worried about Daniel. She starts calling him Johnny.
I love Peter Sarsgaard crying too.
Oh my God, he's great. But it's like drunk. It's drunk crying, and it's like where you're just like, oh, keep your wits. Can you go?
I know, but
can
like,
you go
he's
ahead
just
and
like
grab?
such a good actor.
Oh my God, he's amazing. But I seriously was just like, can you like please go collect your wits, sir? She subtly starts calling him Johnny instead of Daddy. His name is Johnny, and tells him that he's very handsome. He kind of snaps out of it again and is like, what the fuck? And he's like, that's very inappropriate, Esther. And she's like, stop talking to me like I'm a child. And he like is drunk and just like loses, and he's like, we're calling Sister Judith about your future in this house because I can't do this anymore. At that point, we're back in the hospital with Vera, and she gets a call again on her phone It's from the Sarsgaard Institute. She picks up the phone, and the person on the other line speaks English in a Russian accent and says, "Get your family out of the house. That's not a little girl.
What?
That's a 33-year-old woman with a rare hormone disorder." It is basically, there's a term for it. We can talk about it in a postmortem because I can't remember the term, but it's basically proportional dwarfism. So like you can pass as a child because you don't have your proportions are completely correct. Your growth is stunted. So the doctor's like, "Does she have scars?" And Vera's like, "No, she has no scars. This can't be real. She doesn't have scars." Then she remembers that she won't let anyone take the ribbon off her neck or her wrists. And the doctor says she has violent scars because we had to straitjacket her and she ripped herself out of it constantly from the restraints around her neck and her wrists. She was so violent, she killed 7 people. As this is happening, we see Esther upstairs crying, like mascara running down her face, ripping the ribbons off of her wrist and neck and sobbing, and there's scars there. And then we see her take her fucking kid teeth out, and it's like some busted ass 33-year-old toofs. Like, I haven't been to the dentist in 33 fucking years kind of teeth. Hence why she didn't want to go to the fucking dentist, because your teeth are still 33.
Whoa.
So the guy in the Sarsgaard Institute is like, she was adopted by a family in Estonia. She killed them all when she wasn't able to seduce the dad, and then burned the house down.
Alert! Alert!
What do you do? What does Vera do?
I sent this lemon away long ago.
You're still in the hospital.
Okay.
You have your own car there.
Okay. Daniel's in the hospital, so he's safe. I'm going to be like, okay. I'm going to be like, I need you to call my husband and tell him this information.
Okay.
Because he's not going to believe me.
This is you?
Yes. And then I'm also at the same time going to go home. I'm going to fucking leave. I'm fucking piecing out of this hospital, going home immediately. I'm going to call the police, actually. Okay. I'm going to tell Sarsgaard Institute to call my husband and tell him this information. I'm going to call the police and tell them shit's happening at my house. They need to go. They're going to go regardless. And then I'm also going to race home as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And do I have to say she thinks? Mm-hmm. She, I think she should call the police too, and also goes home as soon as possible.
This is, and you'll have to do this math for me. You got 3/4 of a point for you,
garbage,
and a half a point for Vera. So that's a piece of garbage. Is that one? That's 1.5 points. Okay, 1.5. Okay.
What did you say?
3/4 plus 1/2.
It's 1 1/4.
1 1/4. Okay, 1 1/4. Okay. So you did exactly what you should do, except you'll realize that calling the police first is the very first thing that needed to happen, and having the institute call won't work, because here's what's happening at the house as this is all going on. She does try to call Peter. She does try to drive home. She does call the police after we realize what's happening in the house right here and why it won't work to call Peter. And why calling the anyway. So
calling the cops was on what I did at the hospital still.
You called the cops first?
I mean, I was like, I'm still on the phone with this institute. Hang up and call my husband and then call the police.
Okay. So then I'll give you a full point for that, because it doesn't really matter that the Sarsgaard Institute won't get through. And the reason that the Sarsgaard Institute won't get through, and also you won't get through, is because what's happening at the house is Esther is still throwing a fucking 33-year-old temper tantrum. And we see that she's like has bandages on her breasts, like she's completely passing as a kid. And she goes downstairs and has done something to the fucking fuse box. And so all of the power goes out. Oh, and she's also destroyed her room. Max wakes up because something is weird. Her aid is gone, her hearing aid. Peter comes once the power has gone out, Peter goes into Esther's room to like see where she is or what the fuck's going on. He can't find her. But he flips on the black light. I guess the black light is like, battery powered.
Yeah.
And he shines the black light on the walls. So we see the painting that we've already seen where it's like demons and dead people. All of the paintings all over her wall have secret, terrifying like messages on them. So like a portrait of Vera has a knife sticking out of her head.
Oh my God.
And then behind the paintings, like, so the paintings are all fucked up, but then behind the paintings, she's painted her walls with like people fucking.
Oh
like,
my God.
Like a 10-year-old can't paint these. They're like really good pornographic paintings of people fucking and stabbing and shit like that. And Peter's just like, shit, crap,
bag,
kid, and also is drunk. Now Vera is in the car and she's calling the house, not going through, power's out, nothing's going through. Peter picks up the phone, power's out. Peter goes down to the basement, sees that the fuse box is destroyed. Vera is almost driven off the road because she's using her phone. Don't use your phone and drive, kids. Peter's in the basement, Vera in car. Now she's trying to call 911 because she can't get through. So I guess for me, like my first thing is to always call 911 first. And I feel like that was her concern, because if she had called 911 first, it would have bought time and it like wouldn't have mattered that the power went out. But it wasn't until she couldn't get a hold of Peter that she called 911. So Peter's now with a flashlight looking around the house and he feels like a thud in his back. And then another thud. It's not a thud. He's being stabbed by Esther.
Oh my God.
Who looks like a fucking 33-year-old woman now.
Oh.
Because she's, like she's got boobs and her teeth are busted and she just like isn't carrying herself like a 9-year-old anymore. So she just looks like, and she unfortunately is like a reverse Sammy because she stabs forever.
Oh no.
Max sees the whole thing. Oh, no. Vera's driving. Max goes and hides in a closet. Vera drives into her house. Like,
oh my God.
Through the walls into her house. Runs in. Finds Peter dead.
Oh my God.
And there's no he's dead as a doornail. She's looking around the house. She picks up his flashlight and she's looking around the house. She's trying to find the kids. She hears something behind the curtain. She's in the bathroom. Like she's in like the bathroom of her bedroom kind of. And there's a window outside and she's knocked backwards. Esther was standing outside and shot her through the window in the shoulder.
Oh my God.
And Esther now looks 30-fucking-3. Max kind of sneaks out of the hamper and like goes somewhere else. Vera gets up and goes into the bedroom part and sees that there's like roses and candles on the bed.
Oh, creepy.
Esther comes in looking for her in the bathroom where she knows she shot her and she's not there. So she goes into the room and doesn't see her anywhere. But she sees that the door to the balcony is unlatched. And she's like, she's out on the fucking balcony. So all Esther does is just click, locks the door. Vera is hiding on the balcony in the snow. Max is trying to get away, but like makes a noise. And she's trying to hide in the greenhouse. Now, the greenhouse is on the first floor. And it's got kind of that like half-domed roof. You know how like a greenhouse obviously is just all windows. So from where Vera is on her balcony outside of her bedroom, she can actually step down onto the glass roof of the greenhouse. So she does that. Vera sees Max hiding in the greenhouse and signs to her through the window that she sees Esther coming because she can basically bird's eye view the whole greenhouse. Esther hears her on the roof and shoots, misses. She's about to find Max, but Vera realizes that where she shot, the glass is now weak.
Right.
And so she falls through the glass and lands on Esther. Esther's knocked out. Max comes in, and like the poor, like a kid who can't express themselves in words, when they cry, it's like almost, it's like worse because it's just like this sob without being able to say anything. Vera grabs the gun, smart, out of Esther's hand, picks up Max, leaves house, and goes like out of the house into the snow towards the pond, just like trying to get away from the house. Esther's dead in the greenhouse. Sirens are approaching. Cops are going into the house. They go into the greenhouse. No Esther. So Vera and Max are walking through the snow. Esther comes out of the woods. She pushes Vera onto the ice. She has a knife. Max has fallen out of Vera's arms and is just sitting on the bank of the snow. Vera and Esther are like fighting on the ice. Max sees the gun that her mom has dropped and tries to aim and shoots, misses.
Okay.
It goes into the ice.
Oh, fuck.
That means the ice is weak now, and they both fall through the ice. And it's
Jesus,
the scariest
crap
fucking
bag.
part where like you can't see, so you're just like
you don't know
hitting, and
where
it's
like
just ice.
the hole is.
Yeah. So she's caught under the ice. Esther tries to like pull her back under, and Vera is able to kind of like hit her away, finds the hole, and is crawling out of the ice. Oh, at some point underwater, Esther stabbed her as well.
Oh my God.
And that's when Vera like hits her in the face, crawls out of the ice. Max is walking out onto the ice.
Max, get back.
And Vera is like, no, stay back. Don't move. At this point, Esther comes back out, grabs Vera's leg, and she's like, please don't let me die, mommy. Kim,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I
What
kick
does
her
she
in the
do?
fucking face.
Okay.
And get her off me and go save my fucking child.
Okay. What does Vera do?
Same. Hand in hand.
Yes.
Yes.
She literally kicks her in the face, and we saw as an audience that Esther had the knife still behind her back. She didn't drop it. She kicks her in the face, and we see that it snaps her neck.
Good.
Like we see it like in slow motion where it's just like crap.
Bye, creepy crap bag lemon kid.
And Vera says,
Woman.
I'm not your fucking mommy.
Yes. Ah!
Crawls out of the ice. We see Esther's face sinking to the bottom. Sirens in the background. The end.
Oh my God. That was so good. Oh, I
Yeah.
bet Vera Farmiga is so good.
Oh my
in
God,
that.
she was fucking
I
great.
love her.
All right, I'm going to total up your points, and then I'm going to tell you what the
can't
fuck you've been
wait.
missing. Okay. Hey guys, this is Kat.
And Kim.
And we just want to let you know about our brand new Patreon we just launched. You can find us at www.kimandkatstayalive.com.
And you'll also find merch on there. Check out our merch store and follow us on social media at kksampodcast. We love you. Bye.
Okie dokie.
Yay.
You did really well on your questions. You got 13 3/4 out of 20. You only got one dead or alive.
Fucking god damn it.
So you got 14 3/4 out of 26.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. So
Are
you ready
I'm
for
assuming
this
there's
shit?
a true crime story about this.
there is an actual family that adopted a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and that 8-year-old kept trying to kill them, pouring bleach into their coffee,
Oh my god.
pushing them into electric fences,
Wow.
doing like super fucked up
Is
shit.
this like current?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like happening right now.
Okay.
Because the parents are on trial.
Okay.
Because they are so Karen, you'll be able to listen to this. Karen was extremely careful to say this news story is only written from the perspective of the foster parents. We have not gotten a statement from let's call her Esther because I can't remember what her name is because she's missing. She's gone.
Oh, shit.
What the foster family says, they are an extremely experienced set of foster parents.
Right.
They've had lots of foster kids. It's their life's passion. They said they adopted this little girl from maybe not from Russia, but they adopted this little girl. Behavior started getting fucking weird. They took her to the doctor, and the doctor was like, this bitch's bones are old. Turns out at the time that they adopted her at 9, she was actually 18, or like my math may be kind of off. Yeah. But they still were like, okay, you're a creepy crap bag adult, but we agreed to foster you. I think they adopted her. So they were like, you're still our responsibility. So they set her up in an apartment because she's 18.
Oh my God.
Bought her, furniture, and then we're like, peace, lemon.
Live your life.
And move to Canada.
Oh my God.
Since then, the couple got divorced. And now that orphan is now trying to, again, live as a child. And is like, they abandoned me in an apartment. But then fucking disappeared. So now, like, the parents are basically like, we did everything we could. Like, this is an adult though, and she was trying to kill us.
Yeah.
So like that's where we are, that this is actually happening, and they can't investigate the girl because she just disappeared.
What are they on trial for?
Neglect, abandonment, and neglect.
But she's an adult.
But they don't. There are two. So they have a doctor that said she's an adult. There's other records that
say she's 9. Weird.
And they can't do their own evaluation because she's disappeared.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Now I want to read all the things.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, you know what? We try to do like Halloween themed movies for Halloween, but I was like, I need to do this right fucking now. Because as soon as I heard this story, I was like, I hadn't seen The Orphan. I knew it was on your list. But when you were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because Allison sent it to us. Yeah. And I was like, we got to do this. And if I've heard it and Kim hasn't, then I've got to do the movie.
Creepy.
Isn't that crazy? And I'm just like,
oh, that's terrifying. Gosh.
I'm like,
I want to foster kids. Ugh, it's so scary.
But they might be.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get.
You might get a 33-year-old
you don't know what you're going to get
bag
out of your vagina either.
You truly don't know. You could get a creepy crap bag right out of your vagina.
Right out of your own vagina.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That sounded like a really good movie, though. That sounded really fun.
It was. I mean, it was good because like the little girl. I guess it got mixed reviews, but I really liked it.
I liked it.
Peter and Vera are obviously
amazing.
Great. And frankly, the little girl, who was played by a little girl,
I assume,
was great. She was phenomenal.
Wow,
she was phenomenal, especially at the end where I was like, "Bitch, you're 33."
Now she's an adult. That's creepy.
It was awesome.
I'm scared of that actress.
The little girl Max was great. Daniel, like everyone was just really good. Yeah, it was crazy. And it seriously was like, it seems so far-fetched. I feel like at the time that it came out, people were like,
come on.
A 33-year-old passing as a 9-year-old, cut to present day, and they're like, so this 33-year-old was passing as a 9-year-old. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I don't know what's on.
What was that sound?
I don't know.
I'm going to try and recreate it. So yeah, that was the movie. So now you can listen to all of your episodes and all that kind of stuff.
Great.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
This has been Kim and Kat Stay Alive.
Maybe.
Follow us on KK. Honey, you take a nap. I'll do the rest of it.
Thank you.
Follow us on all of our social medias at kksampodcast. We also have a website where you can go to our shop, and you can also go to our Patreon where we do a lot of fun stuff and videos and things like that. Lots of rewards. Also, go check out our network Podbelly for cool Podbelly merch, and you can also see the other podcasts that are on the network. And I guess that's it. So this has been Kim and Kat Stay Alive. Maybe until next week.
Stay alive.
ghosted me.
I'm done.